It started for me from a very young age. I suffered from depression, if you like, undiagnosed depression for most of my life since I was quite a young child, and then through some very, I guess, silly mistakes that I made in the course of 6 months. I lost my job, which I'd been in for 15 years, and I loved my job. I lost my home and I lost my partner. Those were the final triggers, if you like, the final straws that took me to the point of trying to take my own life. It was actually in the hospital bed the morning after I'd attempted to take my life. I was wired up to machines, and I saw my mum sat there very, very upset at what had happened to me, to her son, and something just clicked. I began to talk to my mum about how I was feeling, and I think having that human connection, it really does bring that home. Well, I hope by telling my story it'll encourage other young men out there to speak up, to seek help before getting to the stage that I got to. I think it's so important that everybody realises talking really can save lives.
Deep cleaning is important in helping you create a cleaner home. So before you buy your next vacuum, ask yourself, does it provide 185 air watts of suction power? Do cyclones generate 79,000 G to capture fine dust particles? Does it trap 99.97% of fine dust as small as 0.3 microns and expel cleaner air? Powerful Dyson suction to deep clean your home. Buy now from Dyson.
They've never won the Premiership. Half a dozen old league titles for company. But the last was 19 years ago, 1996, with the likes of Guscott and de Glanville and Callard. Victor Abugu was squeezing themselves out of that little cardboard box of a dressing room. Different team, different days, different challenge. JP Dore took charge of last year's final. Red against Celestimar Apu in the semi-final, remember. He's a man for the big match, and this is a big match. It's Bath against Leicester. One dressing room remains to be filled at Twickenham next weekend. Saracens are coming out of one. One of these two will be coming out of the other. And the first clearing kick, a long one from Kyle Eastman, and Leicester will build with a fly half who used to support Bath. Freddie Burns, once of Gloucester, now of Leicester, looking to spoil the end of the season for his childhood club.
Yeah, and you can see from the start of the game, Leicester's intent. Normally Jordan Crane would look to carry that ball back into traffic, but instead they look to the kicking game of Burns. Unfortunately, he skied it a little bit too much, and then a mistake under Watson means that Bath now have the perfect start to the game.
Being told by the coaches this week not to expect them to spin too many plates in their own 22 early on. They will kick for territory, kick to make sure they play in the right positions.
Yeah, this is a key matchup in the game. Batty preferred ahead of Rob Webber for this particular reason, getting the arrows right at line-out time. Look at Leicester to put real pressure. They picked a pack to get up in the air and try and pinch ball.
As they picked Batty to make sure they won those kinds of balls from the line-out, and they did. Dave Atwood rising highest, as he has so often this season. Now Ford launching Eastman for the first time. Austin saying before the match, there are so many Bath threats wherever you look. How do Leicester try and contain them? It's opening up here with Joseph, who's had a stellar season. That's a stellar start! Matt Banahan! He's fallen back in in love with the game this season, and they have fallen in love with him again. What a start!
Well, that is everything that's good about Bath this season. Excellent quick ball, switch one way, goes to Eastman, and then look at this from Ford. They're just hands from Atwood. Ford just delays the pass, and then that lovely little step from Joseph just glides round the outside and feeds the pass to Banahan. Vintage Bath. That is perfect start for the home side.
It's just really nice play all round. Ball in two hands, good basic skills, reading of where the opportunities are and putting the ball into space. That's how rugby should be played.
Only a couple of players started that semi-final 5 years ago. The captain and the first try scorer.
Well, also we talk about the two of the players of the season instrumental in that. George Ford, Jonathan Joseph. They've lit up the season and they've lit up this semi-final.
Seven of the earliest points for Bath.
Yeah, it's a perfect start for Bath, but what you can't do against them is pick the wrong runners. So if you have a look at Jordan Crane here, he steps back on the inside, he thinks Burgess is going to carry the ball. That's the threat of Burgess. Because he steps in, it opens up the space. If he stays and drifts, you can drift and drift and drift with 3 or 4 defenders and use the touchline. Once one guy steps in the midfield against this Bath midfield, you're in deep trouble.
Restart goes long, trying to put a little bit of pressure on Eastman, but as he did from the kickoff, he finds a safe enough touch.
Really interesting point that, Austin, because Bath have got that diamond formation, but they put the ball in behind, then they're using Burgess as the decoy to create extra space for Joseph out wide. Really difficult to defend.
He's so important to it now. He's actually taken it to the next level because he's so quick. With some forwards you can half leave them, but with him you just can't.
That's the line out, won by Brad Thorne as they try to build something for the first time themselves from the set piece. Ed Slater has it, back in time from a knee injury to influence the end of the season. Burns to Loamanu, no Allen by Matt Smith or Tuolangi, of course, in midfield, but Loamanu's done a job over the last couple of games. This is Morris and this is Gonover. Let's not forget the way Leicester played at the Rico against Wasps not so long ago. That might be their template. They had some sharp knives that day to try and contain. Looking for a few cuts of their own here. Morris, once again, who's been scoring tries. Julian Salvi. Youngs trying to throw the dummy, but there was no one buying it. But they're edging towards the line, and Gonover decides in the end to hold on to the ball. Youngs with plenty of orange shirts to the right-hand side. Tate to Loamanu. What a spirited response from Leicester. Crane's there. So was the try scorer Banahan. But look how close they are. And they get the penalty.
Well, that's fantastic defence from Bath because they looked like they were stretched. I think it was George Ford that came across and just made a fantastic tackle. He set up the first try. I tell you what, he saved his side there. Really, really good work for George Ford. They looked like they had, maybe hands would have done it, but a wonderful cover tackle from that man, George Ford.
50th appearance for the club. Last appearance for Leicester was at Twickenham in the final a couple of years ago. This is Tom Youngs.
Early one, advantage, number one. Early and on the lifter.
Crane was the target. Youngs, Burns, interesting, but it was read by Eastman, but Burns knew that the penalty was coming.
Yeah, I think it was Paul James, Nick, that just went early in the line-out, went across, took out the lifter, and just disrupted the line-out for Leicester.
Well, we saw this in the first semi, didn't we? We saw an early try by Saracens and then the opportunity for Northampton to have a go.
Good luck.
Different choice this time, different selection. Ben Young's going for the posts. Just think, maybe this is your chance, Leicester. Leicester's packing their driving game. You've got to keep trying to force those errors, haven't you? Play to your strengths.
One last day at the Rec for him before he heads back to Wales and the Ospreys. He's played in the Pro 12 semi-finals. He's never played in one of these. He is now.
I will today, thanks.
What a Freddie. What a nice pack when we last saw him to his right shoulder at the end of the game last Saturday. Sure that Bath's tacklers will be exploring that part of his body over the next few minutes, but for the time being, Burns exploring the uprights. A little bit nervy at the start of this semi-final, and the lead remains a 7-point one.
Yeah, just snatched it, didn't he? Just went across the face, and as Austin said, you know, going for goal is always a good idea when you get the 3 points. When you don't, you kind of wish maybe a different decision had been made, but Leicester could have done with that just to settle them down after conceding that opening try.
The start from the 22 is again a long one as Leicester try and build from deep. Burns puts it high, and Morris with the chase, and then the castle on Rokoduguni.
Use it.
Stringer with low weighting. Instead, it was meant for Batty. Picked to start ahead of Rob Webber today. Stringer, who we learnt this week is going to take his career into another season with Sale next year. Burns again, fires it long. This is Watson, 21-year-old, inked into Bath's future. And he's still going. He's gone beyond the 22. He's gone beyond halfway. He's taken them up to the 10-metre line. Well, that was a run and a half from Anthony Watson. No slipping, but holding on to possession. This is Joseph. He of the twinkling feet. There are so many twinkling feet across this Bath backline. Broad shoulders, more applicable for Ross Batty and co.
Use it.
He goes low, taking on Lower Manu, who rather shrugged him off with a little bit of help from his mates. Salvi there, over the breakdown, but it's still Bath ball. Here goes Watson again, who set up this situation with that electrifying run.
Bath playing with real confidence earlier on in the season. They've gone through 3 of these phases, and now they're going to the kick.
Rokoduguni chasing it, Morris is there. He's being hunted down by Lowe, and the clear-out work was done by Gonover. This is Slater.
He did really well there, Morris, didn't he? Got his body position right so he could protect the ball. As Crane just picks and goes, doesn't make too many yards there.
Lower Manu with Gonover beyond him. Morris was the option beyond the Fijian, but he held on to it. This is Salvi to Crane. Ajertse, a little bit sticky as he tried to connect with Brad Thorne.
Yeah, you can see Leicester trying to move it away from the point of contact, but just getting harried and hustled a little bit from a fairly aggressive Bath defence. Just trying to force offloads that perhaps aren't on. Ajertse just trying to put one out the back door. It's ambitious in that kind of traffic.
What about this, though, from the fullback?
Just wonderful skill, but all about the kick chase. But you can't defend this. He just picks his hole, pins his ears back, and then has the foresight just to put the switch in with Matt Bannerman. Wonderful skill from Watson.
Yeah, he targeted Ajertse, and he went beyond Ajertse. Now scrum time.
Yeah, let's have a look at this. It's going to be a really interesting contest. Some wonderful front row forwards here. And look at that, the penalties and free kicks won from both sides. They really used the scrum as an attacking weapon, Nick. Used the scrum to draw penalties out of the opposition. Forced the referee to make a decision.
On this near side, Paul James against Dan Cole.
Well, JP Doyle's given both sides the benefit of the doubt there. Both sides seem to lose their footing at the same time. JP Doyle just going, I've got my eyes on you, Paul James. I'm coming around this side.
James against Cole and Wilson against Ajertse.
Well, Cole's back to his best, really has. I mean, obviously had that injury earlier on in the season, was at his very best, I thought, against Wasps at the Rico.
Crouch!
Getting A bit of weight from the back row. Sam Burgess.
Hold your weight.
Yes, sir, no.
I do feel, you know, given the start that Bath have made in this game, Nick, this is the area that Leicester have to assert themselves. Might not come in the first scrum, but if they've got any chance of winning this game, set piece, they have to be able to slow this Bath momentum down, get some penalties from this area, get some field position, and start to put in some attacking options of their own.
In which case, that might be significant.
Well, JP Dog came round the other side to look at Paul James. He says that Paul James has been penalised. That's the first one. He's shaking his head. He disagrees. Dan Cole will be looking at that and be targeting him on every single scrum.
I've never seen a prop stand up and say, good decision, ref. We're doing this a long time, and I don't think even David Flatman never admitted he was wrong. But he has got that tendency, hasn't he, for his hips to come out to the side. Like you said, Cole's so powerful. Does get a bit long in the leg, Cole, which they may look at, and information will come on to James. I've been looking at a lot of scrums because there's so many of them.
Listen to you.
I can tell you what happened. He'd had a 4.5-hour car journey down here to the rec, and he's been thinking, scrummaging, I like it. We're winning.
I was thinking I've got to use the helicopter next time.
Attacking scrum, just outside the 22. Slater. And Youngs with Lower Manu coming on the crash ball. He's really found himself in Leicester's midfield over the last 2 or 3 games. We've barely seen him up to this point this season, but the suspension of Seremiah Bai has given him his chance. Here he goes again. Doesn't know whether he's a back or a forward. This is Tate. He'll hope that this isn't his final game before he packs the suitcase with Bai on. Burns, or Salvi got that away beautifully as Houston was tracking him down, and this is Crane. Oh, the work there of Salvi. He knew that a large truck was heading down the middle lane. Morris feeds it back for Youngs. Gonover neatly to Slater. Leicester have played confidently with a little bit of purpose since conceding that early try, but then they were wrapping themselves over the ball.
Yeah, there was a hint that maybe there was a bit of a block there. JP Dawes just waving it on, saying there was no Bath tackler there to make the tackle, but eventually Bath just get numbers to that breakdown and force the turnover. Much better though. Ben Youngs looking to come back down the short side. Austin always says that Leicester look good and play well when he's sniping round and able to run off all the breakdowns and find those holes in that Bath defence.
This was the penalty. Ed Slater taking it in.
Just think the big difference for me, Nick, is when you look at the attacking shape and the attacking structure of both teams, the amount of options that Bath have got with ball carriers and runners and decoys is so much more varied than the likes of Leicester. Leicester are just one-out runners, maybe with one other option, and it becomes a lot easier for the Bath defenders to defend.
Might be looking to offer a few more options when Aaron Major rides into town over the summer, part of a revamped coaching lineup at Oval Park, the training ground up in Leicester next season, and that's gone straight out.
Do you know what I mean? You're almost, Leicester almost looking for a piece of individual skill, one-on-one for a player like a Gonover to beat a Bath defender. Whereas Bath, you just feel looking to pull the Leicester defence out of shape and move the point of attack all the time with so many different options.
Different styles, no question about that, but Bath will respect the threat that Leicester offer through the pack in particular, their ability to snaffle out threats and to grind opponents down, and they're giving it a good old blast here at the moment with Gonover again. Gonover and Lower Manu have been prominent. Here goes Thorne. Is this to be the day he finally takes his boots off for the last time? Ajertza, neatly done, involving Morris. Spatty tumbling through. It's picked up again by Lower Manu. Here's Youngs to his brother. Bigger brother.
Just got that ability to stay on his feet, hasn't he?
Burns. Gonover. He's got 2 orange shirts to his right. One of them is Tate and his dancing feet. Oh, this is good from Leicester. And again it's Gonover, and Bath's defence is being given a stiff examination here. They've come through it, they've spilt the ball, and Stringer happy to fire it long, but Morris will bring it back at them. Adam Thompson. It's hard work in attack, and that's been charged down by Hooper. Hooper against Cole, and Cole suddenly realises he needs to select a gear, but
just thought he was offside.
Sorry, Lawrence.
Yeah, thought he was offside in the first place. That looked pretty harsh. I mean, I know he's got long arms. The second rows are very good at charging down kicks, but he was definitely standing way in front of the back foot.
Didn't start onside.
Where was he? Yeah, it's marginal.
I think it's, yeah, it is marginal. I think it's harsh. He doesn't come forward until Youngsters takes 2 steps to put the box kick in. It's a low trajectory. But interestingly to see how Tigers are playing this game, their strategy. They know about George Ford. They want to attack him. They think defensively he may have a weakness. Loman is obviously one of the guys that's targeted. Ford knows it's coming. He gets off the line really quickly. But their main strategy is trying to get back to the blind side. And the reason for that is that Bath often have their front rows defending on the blind side. You'll see Leicester hit the midfield, hit it again, and then hopefully see one of the fatty boys on that blind side and have a go at them.
Ford stood up to the test there, but you've been mentioning the impact of Loamano over the last couple of weeks, Austin, and he's been involved busily early on. Now, second chance for Burns from distance. Off the posts, and still no score. Oh, that's loose from Banahan, and Loamano has it. What a moment. The loose kick from Burns, the even looser one from Banahan, and they've been rescued by the penalty.
That's a great shame, isn't it? Because he's worked so hard there, Loamano, to get the charge down, and he just left his hands on it that split second too long. Probably could have just left it alone, and Bath would have kicked a touch, and Leicester would have had the line out.
It's a criminal penalty when you've got that much pressure on the opposition. Very rare you'll be able to get away with anything around there. And now Bath got the freedom to clear their lines.
Oh, we have the perfect view of the trajectory of that. And here's where it all started.
I know it's only a minor coaching point, but only 1 or 2 people following up with the kick. You know, if Leicester had had everyone following that kick-off, that penalty attempt, they would have piled numbers into the breakdown, and perhaps a different situation would have developed.
There's Leroy Houston, a star this season. Contribution sometimes overshadowed by the efforts of others, but everyone around here knows what Houston's contributed. Likewise, Dave Atwood. Here is Houston. Muscles it up almost over halfway. Ford being chased by Burns. And Morris outside of his 22. Here goes Burgess. Stopped by Morris. Burgess' first carry, it's taken a quarter of the match. This is Joseph, who's had one significant one. Here goes Burgess again. First carry, swiftly followed by the second. Gonover's underneath this. Thompson to his right. Gonover only had one thought, however. Here goes Slater, and Burgess again quickly out of the line, but Slater still going.
Tackle off the ball, 7.
Penalties coming.
Points against Francois Lowe for just tackling the player off the ball there.
Sorry, I thought you ran into traffic. Total apologies, Ben. It doesn't matter, he tackled the ball. No, I don't think so.
It's part of our Premiership 15 of the season, which we unveiled at the Flash Do down in London earlier in the week. Dave Ewers and Nathan Hughes, the rest of the back row.
It's a useful trio. Pretty large trio as well.
You will have your own views, but we thought that Francois Lowe was worth his place in the team. Not necessarily for moments like that, but what he's done over the course of the season.
absolute talisman for this Bath side, and seem to remember him captaining Bath to a very epic victory against Leicester a couple of years ago. But in outstanding form.
Be interesting for Bath, actually, if they didn't have him, would they have been able to play Burgess in the back row? You've got someone who's so technically good, an expert in every way as the open side. You didn't have him, if you just had another big ball carrier, would you be able to balance it out with Burgess?
Let's have a word with Neil Hatley about that. The role that Francois Lowe plays, Neil, in the assimilation of Sam Burgess into the back row. Could you play Burgess in that back row without Francois Lowe?
Yeah, I think you probably could. I mean, Flo's obviously, he's so integral to what we do. He's the glue. I mean, he's been superb for us, not more defensively probably than anything else. You know, he's so good over the ball and he controls opposition ball speed. So I think with the carriers that we've got in Leroy and Sam, you know, you need somebody like that who's going to affect opposition ball speed. Concerns for you so far? Probably just from a discipline point of view, really. We've let them control the middle of the goal zone a little bit, and probably given them 3 or 4 field position opportunities that, you know, they haven't really had to work too hard for.
As always, Neil, thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I think it's the penalties in their own half that they'd be concerned about, but that's down to a bit of pressure from Leicester as they get this drive going on.
Rustled forward by Crane. Not a great deal of rustling for Tom Youngs to do there. He ran straight into the 12-bar gate.
Oh, he did magnificently well to even get the ball back to Tom Youngs.
Here goes Tate. He's looked busy, looked lively, and he was there. And this is Salvi's, rather on his own at the moment, in the middle of the dance floor with no one near him until Loamanu turned up and he's clattered straight into Paul James. Still they go, Youngs to Thorne. Leicester continuing to look lively, and they'll come back for the penalty.
Yeah, I think a no-arm tackle from Paul James, is it, on Gonover? He's come off second best, that's for sure. He just dived with his head at the ankles of Gonover.
I think it was Loamanu, wasn't it, carrying across the outside.
To you guys,
I never understand why guys do that, because they put their own personal safety and the ball carrier's safety at risk.
Okay, Stuart, failure to grasp, okay?
Let's have a look at this. You're right, Austin. Is Loamanu, what he does is he gets his head on the wrong side, so he actually hits the knee. And in fairness, he does lead with the arms.
Yeah, he does try and get his arms out in front.
It's a painful tackle, but that's a brave tackle from my point of view.
All tackling is brave, Nick, in your point of view.
It's idiotic.
He's pleading with the referee, saying, "Look, I did put my arms up, and I got clattered in the head for my troubles."
He didn't manage it, it's a penalty. Grasp. If he dives at his feet, it's a penalty,
We've already had one magnificent game today. We're in the middle of one here, and tomorrow we're at Kingsholm to find out who will win that semi-final for a place in the final of the Champions Cup playoff. Gloucester against Connacht.
Are you staying on?
And on Monday, reflections on that game and all that we've seen over the course of the weekend on Rugby Tonight. Monday at 8 o'clock. Here comes the change. Nick Orterat. Would have thought temporarily while Paul James gets patched up with vinegar and brown paper or whatever it is they use these days.
He might have a couple of stitches in that, actually, if he needs them, but he was penalised there for diving at the feet of the player. I mean, I thought you're allowed to do that, aren't you?
This is a really big kick for Freddie Burns, though. He doesn't want to start this game 0 from 3. His own personal confidence and the scoreboard. Leicester have played a lot of rugby to have no points.
Leicester have forced Bath into making twice as many tackles so far. Are they to benefit on the scoreboard for the first time? Still wobbling around a little bit more than he would ideally like, but that wobble between the posts.
Yeah, it's 3 points, and that's all that matters for him and all that matters for Leicester, and they really did need that, as Austin says. Been applying a lot of pressure, four or five visits into the Bath 22.
We tried the match so far, the early one, for Matt Banahan. Thompson under some pressure. There were 3, 4 Bath players hunting him down, and that forced the error. And Stringer's there from a wonderful launch pad. hour aplenty, provided by Lowe. Banahan the link to Houston. Hooper over the top. Batty snaps it back. And finds Atwood via Joseph. Ford involves Burgess, using his bulk to good effect. Stringer once again to the Springbok low. This is Batty, and that was taken by Ford, and this is Joseph, and Banahan for his second!
I think they could come on, he's not even going to look at it. I thought JP Dawn might have gone back and had a little look on the decoy runner that takes out Freddie Burns. Doesn't look like Burns commits to the tackle.
Well, I think the try, Austin, is all made by initially the run of Burgess, able to sort of carry the ball in close contact, take 2 or 3 players with him. Then the extra run of Francois Lowe, the 2 back rowers. Look at this, we see Burgess just wrestling, buying a few more metres. Great ball presentation. Lowe takes it on, and then Leicester have just got a number up better. They're getting drawn into making tackles they don't need to make.
Bath are just
we know about this diamond formation, don't we?
You see the difference in passes there from Ford. One little short ball to Burgess enables him to carry, gives him go forward ball, and then his timing to the outside is just absolutely amazing. Well deserved.
James Dyson getting rather excited as well alongside the boss. Becomes the 4th man to score 2 tries in a playoff semi-final. Tom Voice, Leon Lloyd, and the big bloke in the pink shirt standing to my right.
I'll tell you what, they were nothing quite as subtle as those two, I can assure you.
And he's got a little bit of time to make it 3 as well before we're done with business here. For all Leicester's time on the ball, it's Bath who've had the carving knife whenever they've had it in the red zone.
Oh, it's just been utterly ruthless. Only 2 visits to the 22 and 2 7-pointers. And it's just been, their attacking shape, their attacking structure, the skills under pressure, the confidence that they've got.
Well, this time Banahan got his clearing kick away. It's Big Banner's day at the moment.
He's had a phenomenal season, hasn't he?
I was talking to him this week about it. A couple of seasons ago, so cheesed off about being moved around the pitch, not being given a regular position. He really did fall out of love with the game, but just being thrilled with the chance to excel on the part of the pitch that he excels best in this season.
Yeah, he used to make lots and lots of mistakes, errors, both defence, attack, knock-ons. He's cut them completely out of his game, and now he's using his physicality to impose himself. I think he's been one of the players of the season.
Not gone offside.
And a little chat this week. He brought up England himself, a little bit wistfully, Matt Banahan, I think. Despite conversations he's been having with Stuart Lancaster, he probably knows that his time might have passed him internationally now. You're not so sure?
Well, it has for this immediate World Cup, for sure. But if Bath keep playing the way that they're playing in this, attacking, style, and he keeps on finishing, on being on the end of so much of Bath's good work, wingers are paid and picked to score tries, simple as that. And if you keep scoring tries, keep knocking on the door, you're going to get there. Look at Strettel and Ashton this season.
Well, he's got a dozen now this season. And he's given Leicester a bowlful to think about. Once again, it's Slater. He's been doing his best to try and steady the ship whenever he's had the chance at the set piece and in the loose. Youngs has it. His brother wants it. Now where's the chase? It's provided by Thompson, and Banahan's underneath it, just outside the 22. So he needed to take it himself, and he finds Autorak, who's still with us. Paul James still being looked at. Oh, goodness me. I don't have to tell you who's taken that ball. At the moment, there are 14 Bath players and Matt Banahan. This is Rockadagooni. Oh, and Rockadagooni's gone, and he wants a a little piece of the cake now. Eastman's chasing it. Where's the bounce? Straight into Eastman's arms, over the line, and they've got 3 in the first half an hour.
What an amazing try. Unbelievable skill from Rockadaguni. The old David Campese hitch kick, stands up Gonover, and then the ball just pops up beautifully into Eastman, who's run an absolutely brilliant support line. He throws the pass and then cuts off the corner to get to the ball. Great play.
It's not a smart play, is it? Banahan's the guy that you don't want to kick the ball to, and then look at this. George Ford knows there's space out wide, and it's just a simple missed tackle, isn't it? And look at this support line from Eastman. He's picked it up. Good kick from Rockadaguni. Great bounce. And Bath are absolutely rampant.
Not just this hitch kick, Austin, but the timing of Eastman's run to stay on side as well, because he was really sprinting, trying to get involved in this.
Yeah, as he gets to the inside, you could argue that he could have just passed him the ball because he'd run such a good support line. And then they had the fortune for the ball to pop up exactly into his hands. They're irresistible to watch, Bath. I love seeing them when they give things a go. You know, we see semi-finals so often over past years where sides turn up and just try not to lose. Bath today are coming out and saying, right, we're going to try and win this, obviously.
It's just stunning stuff. It's concerning stuff. If you're watching this through East Midlands eyes, there's a little bit of shredding going on here. He's become so much a better kicker over the last couple of years. A couple of years ago, it wasn't hit and miss, but it was hit and hope to a certain extent. Now it's hit and you probably know.
Right, look at this again. It's just such a wonderful piece of skill. Little hitch kick, the handoff is, and the strength, and then the little piece of skill to put the ball in over the top on the wonderful line.
Leicester have won back that restart. This is Salvi. Ball in hand, they've been threatening. It's just that on the 3 occasions Bath have had it, they've scored tries. That's the level of their attack at the moment. Here goes Tate, once again trying to bustle his way through. Crane quickly off to Youngs, beautifully taken by Salvi. This is where Leicester have been playing well, and in parts they have been playing well. They've just been blasted away by those 3 scores, and Loa Manu using his bulk. Couple of significant rolls further forward and they'll be over. This is Tromston. Oh, and the tackle from Joseph and co. Youngs and Burgess flying out of the line. Youngs to Cole. Desperate Bath defending. Cole's going. He's having a look. And we're coming back for the penalty. And furthermore, I think there's going to be a card here.
15.
The penalty's going against Anthony Watson.
It's desperate defence, wasn't it? Real intensity. Leicester really having to force the offload now, but doing it brilliantly. Getting in behind that Bath defence. Some wonderful hands from first Youngs, then Salvi.
Walking back towards halfway with not quite the speed that he was running towards it a few minutes ago, but this is the reason why.
Thing is now, Nick, Leicester have got to play catch-up rugby in a big way. They've got to really force things, and I was about to say that would play into Bath's hands, but now down to 14 men. Paul James coming back on the field. You feel that this next 10 minutes, Leicester have to get something out of this.
What a position. Won by Thorne. Picked up by Crane. Oh, and it's opening up a little bit for him. There's another penalty coming if nothing comes of this. Side entry against Hooper.
Yeah, just a little bit early. It's always that temptation, isn't it? If you wait for the opposition to land, they get them all set up, becomes very difficult to defend. You've got to get in there, try and get it down, but it's just a fine line between the timing of the ball, and on that occasion Hooper just got it wrong.
You're getting your timings wrong, okay? Before a maul, you can only attack the ball carrier. Afterwards, come in from the hind feet.
If there is ever a nice position to be in when you're defending, it's when you're 21-3 up on the scoreboard. Bath have Leicester exactly where they want them for now.
Once again, it's taken in by Slater, who's worked his boots off in this first half. Leicester wrestling it up towards the line. How they need the balm of a try before half-time. Youngs was involved and Thorne's not far away, and they're going to have another penalty and they're going to go down to 13 men.
And this is the correct decision. It's against Atwood. It's the correct decision. He told the referee told him, he let go and then he came in again.
It's against Leroy Houston,
against
I think.
Houston.
Atwood managed to get himself out just in time, didn't they? And then Houston came through. Leicester in a really strong driving position there. Looked for all the money they were going to go over.
They were. Tom Youngs got himself really neatly tucked in. Atwood put his arms around him, then let go, and you could almost see Youngs then just entered the space that Atwood had just come out of.
Bright thinking. It's a game of cards, this, and they're going to go for the scrum.
I say it's bright thinking, but I always think that scrums take a lot longer to get a penalty try from.
Just have a look at this, Austin. Atwood just lets go there. Then, as you say, Houston then replaces him on the ball. So, I mean, that's a brave decision from the referee, because he could have easily just said another penalty. He's gone to the sin bin. Correct decision.
As soon as Houston rolled around, he knew what he'd done and he took his hands off immediately. But by that point, he'd already been caught. 8 against 7. Bath having to operate without a fullback as well, remember.
Well, that was only our second scrum, and both of them have resulted in penalties to Leicester. You've got a feeling we could be here for a little bit longer now.
David Wilson releasing his bind. Remember his drift back 7 days ago to that series of scrums that Leicester had away to the right at Welford Road.
They've got some cavalry, they could do with them now, but they can't unfortunately bring them on just yet. Bath going with 7-man scrum.
Listen to this roar. I've not heard the wreck like this for a long time.
Crouch! Hold your weight. Both sides, hold your weight. Hold your weight.
There's a fair sprinkling of Leicester voices as well. Lots of green and white shirts enjoying the delights of this city in the build-up to the match today. It's been a tough first 35 minutes for them, however. A moment of hope here.
Got to get something out of this. It's almost like
Bind!
2 men in the sin bin, and at 21-3 down.
Got to be careful, got to be careful. You said it.
That's Austin's point around, is it easier to go for a scrum, or is it easier to kick for the corner and just have another driving ball? And you've got to say, sometimes, you know, just to set up a scoring position, the drive is easier. Let's listen to what the referee's saying.
Time off. Time off. Stuart, get on your side.
The point that Ed Slater was trying to make there was that they weren't driving through the scrum, but JP Doyle saying you've got to hold your weight. It's up to you to hold your weight. You can't go too soon.
Especially when the advantage and the weight is clearly favoured by Leicester at the moment. It's very hard, though.
I always just think there's too many variables with scrum. Even when you are on top, you know, you're not going to get 10 penalties out of 10 collapsed scrums. You might get 9 if you're on top, and you just, at times like that, the one that goes against you that you don't want to go against you happens.
How many times do we see it when, you know, a team has got a man sin bin, in this case 2 sin bin, and they're the ones that galvanise themselves, regather themselves and win the free kick or the penalty. It's got Richard Cockrell off his seat, Nick. Anyway, he's marching down those stairs. Wants to have a word with the bench, does he?
Oh, he's not found touch. He's just looking for distance. And Leicester operating again from their own half, but not for long. Morris to Thompson. And he's sprinting away and he's chasing his own ball. And Bath without a fullback were indebted to the work of George Ford there, who scuttled across. But Leicester sensing some holes, as there will be. Bath defending with just 13 men, and this is Tate, who's been busy all half. Runs into Rockadaguni. There have to be spaces in that Bath defence. There must be holes. Job for Leicester to find them. Ford has it. One more decent shove towards the line, and they're surging away. And this is Eastman. Lower Manu. And in hard. That's gone loose. It's picked up by Batty. Leicester penalty. Stringer rather thought it might be his, but I think that's gone against David Wilson.
I just think he had his knees on the ground as he was trying to play the ball there, and Leicester did very well to get out of that situation, because once Ford got the intercept, it was looking quite tricky. Just what they need, Nick, at this moment in time. Just see there, Burns just trying to force it out the back. Probably no need to do that. He realised they had numbers out wide. But again, whilst Bath have got these two men off the field, it's important that Leicester spend as much time as they can turning that screw, applying the pressure down this end of the field.
The battle to work out who will play Saracens in next weekend's Aviva Premiership Final at Twickenham. Live, of course, here on BT Sport 1. At the moment, it's looking like Bath. But Leicester continue to plug away as we bear down on half-time. And here's Youngs. Gertzer making sure that they are still advancing. Atwood doing his best to disrupt things and forces Youngs down and brings another penalty. And this is Tate playing with that advantage. He's looked as lively as anyone, Matthew Tate. Ball in hand for Leicester. That was kicked away. Youngs to Thorne. Does not want his epic career to end here. Burns switching it to the left. Thompson offering some support there. Morris has a reply before half-time, as he has done in the build-up to this. Try against Wasps at the Rico, try against the Saints at Welford Road, and he may well have got a try here at the Rec against Bath.
Yeah, I just think we're looking at the placement of the ball and whether he got the ball down before he got knocked into touch. I think it was Burns that switched the angle and saw that the space was on the other side. Let's have a look at this now.
Exactly, yeah.
He's knocked it on, he's thrown the ball forward. Looks like he's lost control of the ball as he's looking to put it down here.
His feet are on the field, so there's no question that he's in touch. Like you said, does Rokoduguni's right hand just knock it out?
This is the angle, I think, better, Austin.
Yeah, he's... Oh, it's close. Has he dropped it?
Well, it's Rokoduguni that gets contact on the upper arm there.
It's Graham Hughes, our TMO.
At the moment, as it stands, you get 2 in the bin for offences. I'll just keep sending them, all right?
I think the decision has already been made that that ball has been lost forward. So no try, but we'll come back for the earlier penalty.
And this time it is against Atwood, and it is for pulling the man down. And I have to tell you, he's very lucky not to go to the bin as well, because if you've already sent one guy to the bin for stopping a certain try, he's a very lucky boy.
Richard Cockrell's Leicester still in search of a try that will give them a little straw to the oxygen above the waterline, if they can get it. Taken by Kitchener. Cole has it.
They're sending it.
Lower Manu again involving himself in the pack. This is looking meaty. The try line is looking vulnerable. Blue, black and white shirt shuttling back to try and stop that drive. Youngs spins it wide, and his big brother scores the try. And Leicester do have hope going in at half-time.
Well, it's been building, isn't it? It's been coming for quite some time, and absolutely the right man to be scoring that try. He's been leading this Leicester team in the last few weeks. He's the real dynamo that we highlighted at the top of the show, and he's the guy that gets over the line. It was just pressure, wasn't it? Once they got this driving ball going, the momentum right the way up to the line. Look at that, backs joining it. It's just outnumbered.
Tom Young's try against Bath in January helped them to that important win at Welford Road, and he's got another one back here at the Rec at the end of the season. Make sure that there is still a pulse, significantly more than a pulse, going into this second half, particularly if Burns can find his kicking boots here. Oh, and he slapped that one between the uprights. It's been a very good final 5 minutes for Leicester. Bath going into the huddle. They'll be happy enough with the first 35 minutes and their 3 tries, but a couple of yellow cards and a Leicester try has given this match a slightly different complexion as we head into the break. Half-time, Bath 21, Leicester 10.
Deep cleaning is important in helping you create a cleaner home. So before you buy your next vacuum, ask yourself, does it provide 185 air watts of suction power? Do cyclones generate 79,000 G to capture fine dust particles? Does it trap 99.97% of fine dust as small as 0.3 microns and expel cleaner air? Powerful Dyson suction to deep clean your home. Buy now from Dyson.
Bath Rugby Foundation empowers vulnerable children to succeed, and in Bath, when you scratch below the surface, it's not that perfect. The young people we work with, generally in education, they're slipping through the net, they're falling through the net. In fact, there's an argument that there isn't a net anymore, and more young people are finding that traditional education isn't working for them.
A lot of these young people have negative experiences with learning in a traditional environment, and so what we try to do is turn it on its head.
It's more hands-on, it's more practical, and obviously we've got the rec here, so they'll be out doing exercise, not necessarily rugby, it can be anything.
Using sport, it is such a powerful tool to develop young people and help them to realise what opportunities are out there and to how to access them and to get the skill set to be able to move forward in life.
We are trying to create strong children rather than fixed broken adults. We see that we are there at the start to make a big difference.
We currently need to raise over £800,000 a year, so please come and get involved in one of our events. You can walk, run, cycle, sleep out to tackle youth homelessness, volunteer or partner with us to support our award-winning work. Just a simple donation can make a huge difference to those who have had the toughest start to life. Thank you.
Deep cleaning is important in helping you create a cleaner home. So before you buy your next vacuum, ask yourself, does it provide 185 air watts of suction power? Do cyclones generate 79,000 G to capture fine dust particles? Does it trap 99.97% of fine dust as small as 0.3 microns and expel cleaner air? Powerful Dyson suction to deep clean your home. Buy now from Dyson.
Earlier in the day, Saracens made it through to the final in Twickenham next week. Bath and the Leicester Tigers battling it out for that honour now. Bath lead 21 points to 10. But I have to say, as they went in at half-time, both directors of rugby getting a little bit spiky with the referees. I don't know what they're complaining about. Nick Mullins, I don't know if you have an insight there.
Jordan Murphy was having a prolonged conversation with Dean Richards as well, the fourth official, over the last 4 or 5 minutes. I just wonder whether it was that sequence of scrums, Lawrence, and the number of penalties, and whether Leicester thought they ought to have had even more. But certainly Cockrell and Jordan Murphy not happy, but neither the Bath management team either.
No, Bath, I mean, whenever there's a couple of yellow cards, both sides are going to be unhappy. Leicester could probably feel that maybe Atwood could have also got a yellow card for pulling down that driving wall, and I think Leicester were, and Jordan Murphy, a little bit unhappy about the contact on Thompson as he went over in the corner.
Restart. Has gone straight out, and Leicester will have the scrum back on halfway. Half a dozen teams, by the way, have come from behind to win semi-finals. The last, Northampton, who were 11 points down against Leicester this time 12 months ago. From that, Leicester might take some hope.
Well, that man George Ford hasn't done anything wrong until that moment, but he's just given Leicester a bit of field position as Anthony Watson only got a few more seconds left on his sin bin, the first one to be sin binned, of course. 3 minutes on Houston. He's got a little bit longer to wait.
Bind. Set.
It's a very decent Leicester scrum. Front row unravelling, but lack of weight in the back row part of the problem as well, with Houston off the pitch.
Well, I mean, this, Leicester will look at the confidence they can take from certain parts of their game, and the scrum is certainly one of them. I mean, they've had penalty after penalty at scrum time, and George Ford's mistake has just been compounded by this now penalty. But Leicester will have a shot at goal, and immediately the chance to get points on the board.
You could see the reaction from Dan Cole. Leicester will think that they can build a comeback on the basis of the dominance of the scrum. Cheers for Anthony Watson, who's back on. So one of the 2 holes in Bath's defence has been filled, down now to just the 14.
Tom, first bin's back on.
They certainly will claw their way back into the game if Freddie Burns could knock kicks like this over. It's a bit of a shot to nothing, because it's a tough one, but if he can get it over, it'd be a huge lift at the start of the second half.
Strike that one properly. It's been a day for him largely so far. And another one goes missing. Once again, the long restart, no sense of giving the pack an opportunity, or the big runners an opportunity to contest. They'll just get the defensive lines in and get the ball back on their own 22 with Watson. This is Atwood. Stringer, Sale bound next season. To Ford. There goes Morris. Try ruled out, just lost control of it before half-time, before Leicester did get their first try. Oh, and that was nasty. And it is Morris who took a right old clunking there.
Yeah, I just think as he rolled over, I think Batty was trying to roll off him to allow him to play the ball. It looks like he's hurt himself. I think his ankle suddenly got caught under something there. He's in a lot of pain, which doesn't look good at all.
No, it's just the inside, isn't it? Turns it inwards. His right ankle. Looks to be in a lot of bother, doesn't he?
A tackle by Batty. Rolled him over.
There's a big difference between the guy putting it like
Yeah, we may be here sometime, I think, just because if he's in a, that ankle needs attention. It needs to be stabilised if it's as serious as it looks.
Tommy Bell, we're hearing, is preparing to come on, who joined Leicester this season from Jersey. He was deemed surplus to requirements at Wasps, but He's reignited his Premiership career with Leicester this season, and well, he's coming on, but not in the manner he'd have wanted to.
Well, on a positive side for Leicester, he's got 100% kicking, so he may take over the kicking duties from Freddie Burns. And if Leicester do continue to play rugby around that halfway and get those long-range chances, this guy may just get them back into the game.
A little bit of a bonus for you on BT Sport over the course of the summer. Summer not necessarily a rugby-free zone, particularly when we've got the Under-20 World Junior Championships from Northern Italy this year. England defending the title that they've won for the last couple of years. It all starts at the beginning of June, and the likes of George Ford all started to make an impact at international level with England's Under-20. So many good young Under-20s have started to make names for themselves at that tournament, and that's something for us to look forward to on BT Sport as Tommy Bell comes on to replace Niall Morris, who was out for 3-4 months with ankle injury earlier on in the season, and the look on his face suggests that he knows that he's going to have to go through it all again over the summer. Austin.
Well, just looking back actually at Banahan's second try and talking about this diamond formation, it's also about the work of the forwards as decoys. We've highlighted Hooper on the outside there, his hands up. He knows what's coming, he knows what's inside, he knows who he's going to take out the defensive line, either legally or illegally. Watch the line he picks, outside shoulder, just throws that block, and then it's a great line from Banahan, just bides his time, stays underneath the ball. Really important for kids who are watching. Stay underneath the ball, and then you can choose your time when you really accelerate into the attacking line. Banahan's done that very well all season.
And Austin, I mean, that's smart play from Hooper. He knows exactly what he's doing. But if the referee, JP Dodd, decided to go back and have a look at that, you could almost argue that he has actually run a blocking line because he made contact with the Leicester defender, and the try could have been ruled out, possibly.
Yeah, what they look at in those situations is whether or not the defenders made the decision to tackle the non-ball carrier. Now, in that situation, I don't think Freddie Burns had made the decision to take Hooper. Hooper had made the decision to take him. So for me, that was crossing or obstruction.
Look forward to having you company tomorrow afternoon. First of the Champions Cup playoffs. Gloucester against Connacht. Gloucester, the Challenge Cup winners, against Connacht, who finished 7th in the Pro 12. Glasgow winning through to the final yesterday dramatically against Ulster. Rugby tonight, as always, on Monday. And the winner of that Gloucester-Connacht match, by the way, will play Bordeaux-Begler in the final for that last place in the Champions Cup. Bordeaux-Begler finishing 7th in the top 14, and the final, should you need reminding, next Saturday. We know that Saracens are going to be trotting out of one dressing room. We're not entirely sure who'll be coming out of the other yet. Moment Bath are the favourites, but Leicester have not given this one up by a long shot. A little bit of reorganising to be done once they get Niall Morris off the pitch, however.
And that's a Bordeaux-Begler side currently coached by Mr. Ibanez, Raphael Ibanez, who could well be named as the new French coach after the World Cup. Lots of speculation about who might end up coaching the French national team.
Talking about the top 14, by the way, as we say our sad farewells to Niall Morris. Matthew Tate, at the moment, is heading to a French side, Bayonne. He'll be playing second division rugby next season. They've been relegated in the last half an hour or so. It was a close call with Cass, but it is Bayonne who've gone down. So I'm not entirely sure whether Matthew Tate has a clause in his contract that will allow him to stay with Leicester or move elsewhere, but at the moment he's heading to a club who won't be in the top 14 next season. Something for him to sort out. So much more concern for Niall Morris is that injury. That's going to mean a long, hard summer of rehabilitation.
Yeah, just packing down now. We've got Matt Banahan not looking too out of place at number 8, but Leicester going forward. Jordan Crane just controlling the ball, not drawing the penalty on this occasion.
Banahan talking this week, reminiscing this week of the time with London Irish's academy when he was a number 6. He was a genuine back rower when he was first learning this game, and it was only when he arrived here and Brian Ashton saw him and said, got a handy winger, I think. He's
getting a look back at his in his former days in the back row here, and adding his most considerable weight to this Bath scrum, and they need it right now. They're well ahead on the scoreboard, but Leicester been dominant pretty much most of the game at scrum time.
Removing bind.
That's another penalty against Paul James.
Totally removes his bind.
Well, he just moved his bind, I think, is what the referee's suggesting there. And as a result, the scrum collapsed.
It's fourth penalty that James has conceded, but while we were getting all that sorted out, time was ticking down on Leroy Houston's yellow card, and they're back up to 15. Big hug from the skipper.
And exactly the point that Austin was making. Tommy Bell straight in, straight on into the field and straight into the kicking duties, and almost identical position, Nick, from the one that Freddie Burns just missed.
He's not missed a kick in the Premiership coming into this match. From distance, he has now. The opportunities to claw back 3 points continue to evaporate off the kicking team.
Is that 12 points now? I think it is. 4 kicks at goal. Difference is 11 points. Leicester missed 12. Admittedly, not easy kicks, all of them, but you feel if they're going to go on and get something out of this game and win it, they've got to, sooner or later, convert some of these kicks.
Well taken by Watson. You'll have noticed Nick Orterak is on for Paul James. Coaches have seen enough of the penalties being conceded. They've made that change at loose head. Here goes Gonover. Here goes Thompson. Running into Houston, who'll have refilled his lungs with oxygen. Hard work from Banahan, but not over the gate, so not coming in from behind the hindmost foot. That's gone loose, and Joseph wasn't far away from picking it up. Burns just beats him to it.
Yeah, just knocked it on Joseph, so referee just playing the advantage, but I think he's just shouted over now.
Bell drives over halfway. Ajertse. Bath are preparing to bring on Henry Thomas, the tight head. Burns, Tate running the dummy line, but Burns didn't use him. Goes instead to Bell. This is Cole.
That's prop against prop. Orterak on Dan Cole.
Kitchener. He's been an anchor in a choppy season for Leicester, Graham Kitchener. Here's Tate. I wonder if he knows about Bayon. Youngs. Crane. Bath have been happy to just spread the line out, defending these heavy moments when Leicester have had possession and just waiting for them to make the mistake.
Yeah, they just had to seal the ball off there. The difference, I mean, it's a nice little run back on the inside, checked on the inside by Crane, but just the lack of options outside. As soon as they get that quick ball, they've only got one option, the ball carrier taking the ball forward, and on that occasion Crane had to come back in to the heavy traffic, and unfortunately Leicester gave the penalty away. And totally contrasting attacking styles of these two sides.
Confirmation of that change at tight head that we've flagged up. Henry Thomas replacing David Wilson. The wave, timely return for him from a neck injury, actually against Leicester in the new year at Welford Road, and Thomas too, just back from injury, fit in the nick of time to try and engineer a route to Twickenham and one more week of this season.
Well, it's been all Leicester, isn't it, Nick, this first 7 and nearly 8 minutes of the second half, but unfortunately they haven't done any damage on the scoreboard. Bath have just been able to soak up the pressure, see the kick sail wide, and now first real opportunity of the half for them.
Hooper and Atwood late to join that line out. It's going to be Hooper. Leicester challenging only when he came back down to earth. This is Banahan, scorer of 2 tries already. Westman's chasing this, as is Watson, and Rocco Daguni wasn't far away. Ball was lost forward off the replacement Bell.
The tactic of going to the air from George Ford, you can understand. Inviting Leicester to run back at them, playing uphill. Slightly different tactic, Austin, isn't it? When you played here at the Rec many times. When you're playing up this hill, there's slightly different Bath that we'll see in this second half.
It is, but we did say before the game that Bath are going to come under pressure at some stage, and they have to have the courage to stay true to their convictions. The 3 times that they attacked in the first half with that formation, they scored 3 tries. Now off a line-out, they kick the ball 10 metres forward and get fortuitous scrum. They've got to back themselves.
When we talk about a hill at the Rec, we're not exactly talking about the Hillary steps, by the way, but there definitely is one from bottom right-hand side to top left as we're looking at the moment.
Certainly gets a bit steeper the older you get. I can tell you that now.
Start to need the ropes and the crampons.
By then the ball had already come out the other side of the tunnel.
Five scrums, 4 penalties.
And Leicester on top. Well, Alterac has replaced Paul James. Dan Cole still out there doing his bit, doing his service. Can he put Nick Alterac under the same pressure as he applied to Paul James, particularly on this Bath footing?
Leicester's tight head replacement is Fraser Balmain. Michele Rizzo, the Italian, is the loose head. And that's Dominic Day going to come on for Stuart Hooper, we're hearing.
It's a great Leicester scrum that turned it over.
Well, that's a mighty scrum. And Gonover chasing the ball to try to profit from it, but that'll do. They'll have a line out deep inside. Oh my goodness, what's he doing? And Gonover was very nearly there, and Banahan had to be sharp. But these are the kinds of moments that Bath try to lurch from the shadows. Watson very nearly did, and then Ford says, no, let's just wallop it long and get our breaths back.
Well, he couldn't kick it out because Watson had just crept outside the 22s, had to keep the ball in play.
Jordan Crane's down injured. Leicester have lost Niall Morris to an ankle injury, and it looks like something similar for Crane at the moment. So they, for the time being, playing with 14. Youngs, Gonover, interesting. Went backwards. Houston makes sure that it's Bath ball, but he was playing it on the floor. Went forward.
Yeah, just went forward off Bath as Crane gets back to his feet, which is an encouraging sign. Jamie Gibson just warming up here on the sideline. Crane just seeing if he can put some body weight through that ankle.
Stuart Hooper, the captain, being replaced. He'd have made the trip from his home near Farley, near the training ground today, down Bath Eastern Hill, looked towards the city and seen the Rec right in the centre of this city, and just reaffirmed in his own mind what this place means to the people of Bath and what it means to him. And he's a little under half an hour away from taking them to the Aviva Premiership final at Twickenham. Yeah, that drive back up the hill tonight might be a little bit easier depending on the next 30 minutes or so.
You're absolutely right. Gets a handshake from his head coach, Mike Ford.
Hearing that George Ford, by the way, is now the captain.
Fine. Sit.
Yeah, just scrum went down on Ben Young's side.
Marcus Ajerts are getting up and feeling less than happy with life. Absolutely got the ref's eye view of all that.
Leicester.
Yeah, he's up against Henry Thomas, of course, who's had a few weeks out himself with injury, so he's itching to get back into battle.
Don't push out at him.
Let's just have a look what happens here.
That's schoolboy stuff.
Just goes down, nothing doing there. Both players seem to lose their mind at the same time.
Yes, you can. Blue 2. Time's still off.
Often see Ojerts to do that. He's for a front rower, one of the more placid blokes around, but he was clearly niggled by that.
Well, I think as Henry Thomas pulled his bind away, he just caught Ojerts on the arm. Nothing malicious in it, and Ojerts reacted, but Batty gets an ovation.
Change at hooker. Batty replaced by Rob Webber, who actually started the Champions Cup quarter-final, you may remember, at the Aviva Stadium in Dublin. Played for England at Twickenham in November. Might yet be ending his season there, but he's in the middle of things now.
Well, so far Leicester have dominated the scrum, but Bath, of course, we know about the strength in depth. They've got an entirely new front row on now with Autorak, Webber and Henry Thomas. Can they shore things up for Bath and just give them that little bit of solidity that they need in this area?
The other factor in all of this is that Henry Thomas, despite being on England's bench in Dublin, not part of the World Cup training squad, and that I suspect has added a little bit of a fizz to his afternoon that Ojerts is having to deal with at the moment.
Bind. Set.
Well, that's a better Bath scrum, and they've won it against the head, or have they? Leicester still driving, and they eventually picked it up. Oh, dear me, that was a bun fight at the OK Corral, and somehow from the knock-on, Bath will have a scrum at the end of it all.
Yeah, what a shame. Leicester just got their timing a little bit wrong. I think Ben Youngs and his just couldn't quite get the hook. The ball was just in the tunnel, and Bath put in a nice, well, actually kicked the ball against the Leicester hooker, and then Dan Cole just unfortunately knocks it on after that Leicester surge.
Comes Jamie Gibson, leaving Leicester at the end of the season for a team who at the beginning of next season won't be champions anymore. Northampton losing their semi-final to Saracens earlier on, if you are just joining us, and Jordan Crane giving way.
Bind. Set.
Having to work so hard to get that back. They've almost been concertinaed out of shape. Goodness me. More like a waltz than a scrum by the end of it.
Well, I think Houston did very, very well to get that ball out under immense pressure. You felt if it stayed in any longer, it was probably going to be a penalty to Leicester. As Matt Garvey now comes on.
He's coming on for Sam Burgess. Memories of his first Premiership start at Welford Road in January, alongside Kyle Eastman, back in the days when he was a centre. Satisfied enough smile on the face of the boss. Burgess these days a flanker. Makes way for Garvey. Ford, that's gone high, and Banahan has his eyes on it. Lost forward as he went up with Bell.
Well, the Bath fans don't like it, but it's a fair contest in the air between the two. Just got knocked on.
Gonover over the head of Kitchener to Youngs, the try scorer, just before half-time. Back to Kitchener. Long, striding beast. Oh, he's taken 10-15 metres out of Bath's defence there, and this is Gonover. Ojerts was chugging up for all his worth away to the left, so Gonover came back infield. Burns. Hint of urgency about Leicester's work now. Thompson. Burns to Tate. Back to the 10. What do Leicester have in this situation, Austin? They've been here so often with ball in hand. Do they have the tools to puncture this defence?
Well, they have a relentless passion to keep going to the very end. The problem that Bath have got is they haven't been in Leicester's 22 in this half. They've only been in Leicester's 22 3 times in the entire game. Bath have got to get a foothold back in this match, or it could escape them.
Well, they still have an 11-point lead, but they're having to do a lot of defending at the moment.
Yeah, Burns just took a knock a couple of phases ago. He was hobbling a bit to get back into phase play, but he's managed to recycle himself now.
Here goes Brad Thorne, nearing the end of a Northern Hemisphere season when he turned 40. Slater is just about held on to by Webber. Youngs still sniping away, and that was loose from Tom Youngs, and it's stolen back. And nicely done. I think it was Eastman on the floor initially. It was Eastman, and this is Webber.
Rockadaguni's in space, he wants a crossfield kick.
He's going to get it, but it's more of a clearing effort from Ford rather than anything more questioning in an attacking sense. But that bouncing ball didn't help Bell. He's found decent distance, however. And here's the Aviva Premiership's Player of the Season. Comes Ferns, and we're hearing that Leroy Houston will be the man to give way. So all those big cards that Mike Ford and Neil Hatley and Toby Booth have to play, particularly amongst the pack, are being played. They're refreshing the muscle men.
I have to say, I mean, it's not been a vintage season from Leicester Tigers. Look at that, but look at the performance here from both sides in terms of the tackles and the tackles made. Bath having to put in a big shift, but Leicester Tigers, having gone points down, are really not leaving anything out there. They're giving it a real go, particularly in this second half.
It's a continuation of the determination from Leicester this season that, after the ropey start, has seen them the form team of the Premiership since the turn of the year. If it was a table based purely on 2015 results, they'd be top of it. Despite conceding those early tries, they're the ones punching away at the moment. They're more the kind of jabby punch rather than knockout ones, but they're the ones asking the most questions.
Absolutely, and you think if Leicester score in the next 2-3 minutes, then Bath will really start to twitch. We spoke about their bravery, about their knowledge of being in semis. They've never been here before at home at the Rec. They don't really know what it's about. They might just have to rediscover those tries again that we saw in the first half, but they've had no ball. They just can't retain possession, and when they do, they kick it away.
Well, 65% possession for Leicester to Bath's 35.
Use it! Broke away, Ben, use it!
Gonover takes it up to the 22. And Leicester to get some points for all their hard work over the last 5 minutes. Youngs continues to look likely. Driven forward by Gibson, but he didn't make much room. Here goes Lower Manu, he loses it. Bath again, though, having to dig themselves out of their own 22. Ford. A little cul-de-sac there. And Leicester will bring it back from halfway with the new man Bell. Tom Youngs. Salvi to Burns, again to Tate, who again runs across the sharp face of Bath's defence, looking for a hole. Tackled by Thomas. This is Cole. Brad Thorne waiting. Waited in vain. It was Burns in the end, and this is Lower Manu.
Let him go now.
Once again, the challenge for Leicester to get beyond that 22.
A lot of good carries, haven't they, for Leicester? They just can't find anyone that's quite got the penetration yet.
Maybe this man, maybe Gonover.
Tackle only.
Well, Garvey's there, and Ferns is there as well, and they think they might have won this back, and they have won it back. That was Ortarak and Webber.
Just thought Brad Thorne might have done a bit more there. He was just lying on. Dan Cole was trying to place the ball. The ball was back on Leicester's side. And unfortunately, I think either Thorne was just pinning the ball in and Joseph able to turn it over.
Well, you saw in that passage of play exactly why they took Burgess off. It's not the sort of game for Burgess where he can run around and make carries. They haven't had any possession, so what they've put on is more experienced guys over the ball. They've got Ferns and Garvey there. They're looking for turnovers so they can clear the line. Mike Ford obviously doesn't want to play rugby anymore. He's just going to try and hold on to this lead.
Only T20 senior games of rugby union, but he's in England's extended World Cup squad.
And listen, he could be very proud of his shift today. One very positive ball carry that resulted in a Banahan try out wide, and one excellent decoy that again resulted in another Bath try. He's played his part as Burgess.
Leicester change at 9. Sam Harrison on for Ben Youngs. Ed Slate as the new captain. Matt Garvey has this for Bath. And for the time being, having on to what they held at half-time, which is an 11-point lead.
I have to say, that is excellent work from the Tigers 8 there, as we see Ben Youngs just getting his breath back. But that was a Bath ball. They worked really hard, nearly forced the turnover. Excellent counter driving.
Bath have scored 72 tries this season. It's matched their best ever in the Premiership over a 22-game campaign. They did score 81 back in 1999, but that season was 4 games longer. 25 of those tries have come in the last 20 minutes, so Leicester will know that as much as they're pressing, Bath can be profitable. However, this is Gonover, and again there's Bell outside, but again it's been spilt as they motor beyond the 22. They just can't get any decent business done beyond Bath's 22, Austin.
They're struggling. Leicester there, almost breaking through. It's good cover defence in the end by Bath, though. They're starting to open up this game.
Eastman, Joseph beyond him. Rokoduguni wanted the ball kicked through, but Bath keeping the ball in hand. Matthew Tate gets back to his feet rather gingerly.
Yeah, as the game progresses, Leicester have really got to start throwing everything they've got to try and close this gap, and there will be opportunities for the Bath counter-attack.
Preparing to bring on George Catchpole, a young junior world championship winner with England a year ago. We've been talking about that one man at the beginning of his professional career. Maybe he's going to get the opportunity to try and change the course of this match, to give Leicester some needle ball in hand. Bath penalty, and they're playing with the ball in Leicester's half, which has been a rare thing this second half. Taken on by Ferns. Oh, he's a brute of a man, and this is low. Springbok needs a little bit of support, and he has it from Stringer, and Stringer might have scored the try. That means Twickenham. He's been playing for 100 years, Peter Stringer, and he's scored a try of some significance for Bath in his final game at the Rec.
Well, it's just been absolutely ruthless, Bath, haven't they? 4 visits to the Leicester Tigers, 22 and 4 tries scored. They've hardly had a look in this entire half. They've been defending, they've soaked up all the pressure that Leicester have thrown at them, and then the first real opportunity they get, they make the break. First with Ferns, then with Lowe, and it's all about the offloading game, and it's Stringer over for the try.
Oh, for all the possession, all the ball that Leicester have had. The first time in this half that Bath get into Leicester's 22, they score a try. That's the difference between these two today. Extraordinary statistic. They've been into the 22 4 times in this match, and you can count the tries. 4 of them. He's moved beyond 200 Premiership points this season. He's approaching 400 overall for his club and his country, and this might be the try that ends the argument.
Yeah, just a bit of fatigue creeping in there. Ferns makes the bust. Look at that, 2 wonderful offloads. First by Ferns to Lowe, and then Lowe breaks the tackle. and offloads to Stringer. Just so clinical, aren't they, Bath? Their attacking shape, their attacking structure, and their ability to execute under pressure when they need to. Best in the league this season.
There is something about this Bath team, ball in hand, but hang on, here goes Bell trying to do something for Leicester. Beginning to look more and more forlorn for all their hard work in this area of the pitch. That looked like a knock-on.
Just little mistakes, isn't it? You can't fault commitment and the passion and courage that Leicester are showing. They're going down, and they're going down very bravely indeed, but they just haven't got the same accuracy and the same execution as this Bath outfit.
There's an efficiency about Bath's forward play that the man on the right will enjoy.
Harry Potter.
He's a man who makes vacuum cleaners in his own peculiar way. Yeah. He'll like the idea that the work that Bath have put into their attacking moves have brought them 4 tries. Leicester are making a change. Matthew Tate's coming off. He's not really recovered from a little bit of a clattering he took earlier on, and George Catchpole has come on. Might be the last time we see Tate in a Leicester shirt. Off to Bayon. I don't know whether that might change since their relegation in the last hour or so, but anyway, that was the plan when he woke up this morning.
It's been a live wire all game. You know, he's played this game like it is his last for Leicester Tigers, hasn't he? He's been real energy and tried to probe and find those holes in that Bath defence. And you know, if it is his last game for Leicester, it's to be his last game. He's been a wonderful servant and can be very proud of everything he's done in the Tigers shirt.
Ollie Devoto's on as well. The ovation for Kyle Eastman. He's another Bath player who's left a big impression on this season. 5 tries here at the start of it against Leicester.
I have to say, Nick, today we've had 2 semi-finals of the very highest quality in different ways, but just wonderful quality. Sometimes, as Austin said, semi-finals can be about sides not wanting to lose, so not taking the risk. But these games today, and especially this one, has been real quality.
Picked up off the base of the scrum, initially by Ferns. Rockadaguni, one of the big name omissions from England's 50 this week, but he's put himself about today. And now it's Garvey's turn to do that. Stringer, the try scorer, to Ford, the ringmaster, to Rockadaguni. Oh, back to Ford. Ford's on his way. The face of the player of the season, the try. That definitely means they're heading to southwest London at the end of it.
Just a wonderful try. Just icing on the cake now. They're flying, aren't they, Bath? Look at that. Smiles from Dad, smiles from son. When he has been the player of this English season, both in a Bath shirt and an England shirt. Wonderful use of bringing the ball in one way and then you going back down that short side. Some tired Leicester players, they've been throwing everything, Austin, at this Bath side, and now they've got to defend, and you just feel there's simply nothing left in the tank, and Bath are just able to pick them off.
Yeah, it's the simplicity of the play, isn't it? Goniver goes forward, thinking of the intercept by stepping out the line, creates the space that Rockadaguni uses down the touchline, and it's a wonderful support line from George Ford, and I think it means quite a lot to him and all these Bath supporters.
This has been the season when George Ford has stood up and proved to us all that he is the real deal. Across the face of the cake, but I think we know now that it matters not. A little over 10 minutes to go, 23 points, the plumpest of cushions.
Yeah, it's a big margin, isn't it? Remember when they won here 45-0 it was all about Leicester attacking and Bath going from virtually the length of the field, but this has been all about Bath's attack today.
Lots of Leicester changes in the meantime. Sebastian de Chavez has come on for Graham Kitchener. Brand new front row as well. Ajertza and Youngs and Cole have given way to Briggs and Rizzo and Balmain. Into the final 10. Burns to George Catchpole. Burns has had a busy season in the absence of Owen Williams as it concluded. Williams injured. Catchpole, and this is Gibson. He will be a Saints player very shortly. Neil Briggs will be a Sale player again. So many changes in the East Midlands over the course of the summer, led of course by the arrival of a brand new coach, former player Aaron Major. Here goes Slater. Will be very much part of the fabric still.
Yeah, I mean, Leicester throwing everything at them, but you just feel this Bath defence are just going to soak what they can up and wait for the mistake or wait for the turnover and just turn that into another attack.
Penalty advantage, Leicester.
Slater, Burns, it's on his mind. And he's caught between the pass and the kick. Tackle means that Leicester will have a penalty. Shake of the head from the man whose early contributions, a couple of tries, set Bath on their way.
Yeah, it's just Burns just going to kick to the corner if nothing else, just to give that his Leicester team just a chance to get their breath back. It's hard work when you're attacking and not necessarily having the penetration you want.
Changes. Chris Cook coming on for Peter Stringer, whose final significant act in a Bath shirt at the Rec was to score the try that rather in the end punctured Leicester's revival. An ovation for one of the greats of our generation. Leicester not hanging around to enjoy that ovation though. Line out one by the Chavez. Testing season collectively, but de Chavez's personal stock has certainly risen. That they can build their future around.
Just advantage being played. I think Dominic Day just coming round offside.
Atwood scrabbling him in the tackle, and we're going to come back for that penalty, Lawrence.
I think he's going to have a word with Day. I mean, 10th visit for Leicester, in total contrast. 10th visit, only one try.
Let's have a listen to this.
This is the same penalty as the first half the guys went to the bin for. It's changing binds on the outside. He also tackled a guy off the ball. Team offence and individual.
If it's the same offence and you gave a yellow card in the first half, then my reckoning is you should give a yellow card in the second half, shouldn't you? I mean, I don't want to give the referee any stick because I'll get stick, but he's had a good game. But it's the same offence, doesn't matter what the score is.
Tackle by the Chavez. Neil Briggs shuffled back round to get it. Carl Fearns in there doing his best to try and disrupt things. The touchline is not Leicester's friends, but the try line certainly is, and they're not far away. Briggs is over the line, but the ball isn't yet. De Chavez comes in to clear it out. Slater. Tackle from Thomas, picked up by Harrison. Harrison can see it.
Use your arms.
This is Gonover. He's one of a bunch of Leicester players who just have not stopped this afternoon, but they've lacked that coruscating edge that Bath have had. Catchpole trying to find one of his own. Thomas slowing it down. And Loamanu went backwards to Harrison. Harrison almost tumbling over the line, but Day was there blocking him. Gonover. And here goes Tombstone. That's the penalty.
Penalty conceded, probably go to the corner again.
One thing we haven't mentioned actually is how good Bath's defence has been. Leicester have spent ages in the 22 and yet they haven't crossed the line as much as they would have liked, and that's largely down to the ability and work rate of a lot of the Bath pack, making it very difficult. George Ford's tackling as well. They've been very impressive defensively and they'll have to be like that next week.
Dave Atwood in the white headgears weighed in with 14 tackles.
Yeah, Lowe not too far behind with 12 as well.
Harrison, Lowe Amanu, that was good work by Devoto. Being lost forward. Ortarak today. And there is Lowe. Chris Cook's there. He's had a season to remember. Ford just relieves the pressure. Thompson goes back. He's not far away from his own 22. Slater does lots of very good things. I don't put kicking necessarily near the top. Webber snaps it back to Ford, who does well to evade the tackles. Likewise, Joseph, is there to be one last moment of magic and a magical season for him. Perhaps Watson, perhaps Banahan on for the hat-trick. Remember, it is a hat-trick for Banahan. The first in a Premiership Semi-Final. And it will be Bath against Saracens for the right to call themselves the champions of England.
Well, Austin was talking about the defence, and it was the defence that turned that ball over. Just so much pressure. Slater felt he had to kick the ball. Bruce Craig can't believe it. Bath, with their sleight of hand, just moved the ball from one side of the field to the other. Ford, Eastman, all those guys involved, but it's that man, Matt Banahan, that goes into the record books. Hat-trick. Fantastic score. He's been brilliant today.
13 this season.
What has been so impressive about Bath is the fact that they haven't had that many opportunities, and yet every single time that they have had a chance, they've taken it. Look, it looks like it's dead here. Leicester look like they're going to blitz them, but it's just the ability of Joseph to evade 2-3 tackles, and then Ferns has the wherewithal, Garvey, sorry, has the wherewithal to put the ball to the outside. What an offload from Watson. Great support line from Banahan. Well, not so sure about the dive, but you score a hat-trick in a semi, I think you deserve it.
Austin, astonishing statistic. Bath have punctured Leicester's 22 6 times. How many tries have they scored?
I think that's 6, Nick. Got to take your chances. They certainly have.
It's just ridiculous. We're going to hear from a very happy man down on the touchline very shortly. Let's just see what Ford can make of this conversion. Knocks it between the posts. Stuart Hooper's leading his team to a Twickenham final. Talking with Sarah.
Well, Stuart, with this kind of cushion, with 2 minutes left, I think we can safely say that's it. You have booked your place in the Premiership final. For me, Stuart, just how does it feel? Some of the emotions for you right now.
It's pretty tough at the moment. I know there's only 2 minutes to go, but I'm still a bag of nerves since I've come off. It's much easier being on there, but the guys done really well. I think the subs who've come on have given a real physical edge, and you know, to be leading 40 points to 10 with 2 minutes to go, fantastic.
And you've just been absolutely, and there could be another one here.
Atwood taken on by Joseph. Oh, I'm sure that Stuart won't mind us interrupting him. He'll be watching this, and the little burst through from Carl Ferns. They're looking for a 7th. Ford over the top, chasing it and not getting it. And for the first time in the match, Bath break into the 22 and don't come away with a try.
Well, they'll be very annoyed with themselves, aren't they? It's just unbelievable. They just look so lethal, don't they? Every time they get the ball, they've just got the ability, forwards or backs. Look at this, second row. just the confidence and the ability. I mean, they probably spend more time on their attacking game than any other side, and you can see, and they're reaping the dividends of that now. Just been brilliant.
Here goes Catchpole, heading for the biggest semi-final win for 8 years.
Tackle only.
Wherever Leicester look for statistics, they don't find much cheer. Here's Loamanu. Thorne coming towards the end of an extraordinary career, Brad Thorne. Here's Joseph. And this is Cook. Oh, and this is Watson. And the tackle was half made by Catchpole, but not enough. Watson will go through, and it is 7. 7 tries for Mike Fort's Bath. They're not going to Twickenham. They're roaring their way to Twickenham.
Well, that came from a monster hit from Carl Ferns on Julian Salvi. Leicester doing what they've been trying to do all game, take the game to Bath, and you see the hit that Ferns put in on Salvi, spilled the ball, and then immediately Bath jump onto that, and that man Watson gets brought down once, but then he's just got the ability to get to his feet and still got the pace to get to the line.
So impressive all round how they turn defence into attack really, really quickly. Ball in 2 hands, just run at the defender in front of you, draw him and someone support. An absolute pleasure to watch.
For the second time in 2 seasons, Leicester pull up a week short. But there are folk at the Rec who weren't born the last time Bath were champions. They've been an absolute joy to watch this season, and they're stretching their season right towards the end of it. The final, the finale at Twickenham will be Saracens against Bath.
What can you say? 92 points against Leicester Tigers here at the Rec. They've been a joy to watch. They thoroughly deserve it. That man has put a lot of hard work and effort and finances and resources into it. They've got the director of rugby, whatever you want to call him, head coach of the season. They've got the player of the season in George Ford. They've certainly been the team of the season so far, and they're in their first final.
Oh, Toby Boo.
Deep cleaning is important in helping you create a cleaner home. So before you buy your next vacuum, ask yourself, does it provide 185 air watts of suction power? Do cyclones generate 79,000 G to capture fine dust particles? Does it trap 99.97% of fine dust as small as 0.3 microns and expel cleaner air? Powerful Dyson suction to deep clean your home. Buy now from Dyson.